Dadson Station.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, what happened to me? Yes, indeed. Great is our God and greatly to be praised. That song is a song you know is no stranger to you. His name is Chris Tomlin, someone that I really admire and one of my mentors, I should say. Love to listen to him all the time. Now, it's just 32 minutes past 8 o'clock, which means that we have only 28 minutes to hit 9 o'clock, and we'll be going to the Sky News Center for the news on top of the hour. But if you have not heard, let me tell you now that ABN TV, which is UK's favorite black broadcaster, is moving from Sky Channel 235 to Sky Channel 195, and that is from the 1st of May 2018. So get those remote control viewers ready to move along with us. But we are still available on ABN TV. That is ABN TV. What am I saying? We are still available on Virgin TV channel 842, and if you don't know that already, and you have a Virgin, you have a Virgin decoder. That's it's a long time I heard that word, decoder. If you have a Virgin decoder, then you just head straight to channel 842 and don't miss a moment with ABN television. But today, like I told you earlier, I have an exciting, very engaging conversations coming up on the show. Later in the second hour, we're joined by the Salt Light Group, and we will be talking about all things marriage. Before you say I do, maybe before and after, but for now, let's talk about the church. And I have Nicole Robinson here with me. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
I wanted to do the introduction, but then I stalled and said, you know what, whilst you're here, let me just get the message from the horse's own mouth, and maybe somebody listening to me will say, okay, yeah, Daniel, you've been talking about this. Yeah, okay, so who is Nicole Robinson?
Well, Nicole Robinson, I'm 24.
Right.
I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a teacher, an actress, a director, a playwright, and a wife.
That's a handful. That's interesting. So what subject do you teach?
Drama.
Okay, so still in the same line.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Lovely. So you have your new book out, which is Let's Talk About the Church. Quite an intriguing subject, and then a topic for a book. What inspired you to choose that in the first place?
Well, what inspired me to choose the name of the book is that I knew that I wanted to write a book about my experience within the church and what I've been through and how I overcame it. But I didn't know what to call it. And then me and my auntie was at home one night, just like brainstorming about different names. And then she's like, yeah, you know what? You should talk about the church. I said, talk about the church. She said, let's talk about the church. And I said, wait, that should be the name of the book. So it's my auntie that inspired me about the name to write Let's Talk About the Church.
Right, okay, so let's talk about the church.
Yes.
Let's talk about the church. So I have had the opportunity of reading excerpts of the book, not all of it, I should confess, but I was keen to find out the key or the significant experiences that really led to you deciding that, you know what, I want to write this book. So to talk us through, what are the significant experiences that you encountered that brought you to that point where you felt that, you know what, I think I need to put out a narrative about this?
I went through a lot of manipulation. I got thrown out of the church. I got a lot of wrong prophecies.
So if you say manipulations, like in what terms?
They told my mum when I was in my teen, they said to my mum that the Lord said that she should kick me out of the house, and I was in college. Like if I'm going on holiday, they would say to me, you have to sow a seed because death is upon your life. Just like a lot of fear, you know, and like, oh, it's my covering that's protecting you. And you know, as a young born again Christian, I believed what they said, and I was scared as well.
But if you say young born again, what age were you talking about here?
I was in my teens. Right. So I got baptized when I was 10 years old.
Okay. But did you get born again around that time, or it was later that you got born again?
I got baptized when I was 10, so I became a born again Christian when I was 10 years old. But obviously, you know, back and forth.
Right.
But and I was literally learning and trying to understand about God, going Sunday school. And so when I was in my teen, I started to take it more seriously.
Right.
And going into church kind of pushed me away from God. And then
that was quite fascinating, because I mean, if you look through scripture, Bible says that Jesus is the head of the church, and by the church here, I think scripture is talking about like the ecclesia, the body, the actual body of Christ. And actually there is encouragement in the book of Hebrews that you don't not forsake the gathering or the assembly of the saints together, so lots of scriptures that points to the fact that the coming together of believers is something that should actually edify, build up, and that kind of thing. So it looks like it's the contrast rather to what you experienced.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was outrageous. I never felt welcomed in the church. I never felt loved. I never felt appreciated. I'm not saying all church are the same. I'm not bashing churches. I'm just talking about my personal experience within some of the church that I went to. And yes, the Bible does talk about gathering and, fellowshipping within the church. But also within that same church, there is a lot of things that's going on that is not of God. And I experience a lot of that.
Oh, okay. So what would you I'm just curious to understand a little bit more, because like you said, there are a lot of different churches. So there are Pentecostals, there are Catholics, there are evangelicals, there are Lutherans, there are Methodists, there are if somebody hears that, oh, the church, it's very, very tempting to sort of like blanket everything. So I think I'm just curious to find out in the particular context. Maybe is it a particular maybe kind of group of churches, or is it which sect of the church gathering is it, or which set of local assembly, Pentecostals? All right, okay, yes. Okay, so that clarifies. So the churches that you had those experiences were Pentecostal churches. Yes. That's very interesting. So at what point? Let's fast forward a little bit. So after going through all that, and how did things turn around for you?
Well, I was at a really, really, really dark place in my life, and I didn't want to know about God. I didn't want to hear no preaching, no gospel music. If you spoke about God, I'd be like, who is God? Where is he? No, please. Like, I will cut you off instantly. And it took me a long time, because my mom had to pray a lot and fast a lot for me, because I was so broken. I really thought that God really hated me. And then I was like always talking to this lady, and she said to me that, Nicole, you need to read Matthew and understand the journey of Jesus Christ, because he is so loving. He wants to heal you. He wants to be there for you. And how the church portray him to be is not how he is. And then I looked at her like I was looking at my phone, like when she's talking, like, really? No, like, it ain't happening. And
so when she said that, how the church, does it mean that the churches that you had encountered, how they portrayed him is not how Jesus is?
Definitely. Not all churches are the same, but she's talking about the churches that I went to.
Right.
And after a while, I started to read Matthew.
Okay.
Started to understand the journey of Jesus.
Let's have some revelations from Matthew. So what was the first thing that jumped out to you and kind of sipped away all those fear and the disappointment and the hurt that you had encountered?
Just to know that, like when he was born, he had to be hidden because of how the king wanted to, slay him and kill him. And just to know that, even Jesus went through trials and tribulation, and he's the Son of God. But it's how he dealt with it and how he used that to overcome his trials and tribulation. He constantly prayed to God, and he knew he had a destiny on this earth and a purpose, and he knew what he had to do. And even when, he went on the mountains to be tested, and how he answered the devil, and how he was just so focused on what he had to do. And I had to find out what is my purpose, what do I have to do, why am I going through this, is there a reason to go through this? And, you know, just reading it and just knowing like how he died on the cross for us. Like he was beaten. How can someone, me thinking that he doesn't love me, would be beaten and, you know, nailed in his hand, go through that for me? And then I realized to say that he actually does love me.
Okay.
Jesus does care, because he wouldn't go through all of that for me if he didn't. And then I started to pray more and, you know, took my time, you know, just say a little prayer, or I would say have a little conversation with God. And then, you know, constantly just like taking my time. And then I just realized that, you know, God really loves me and he really cares. And it's not him that did all of these stuff to me. It was them, not Christ. He didn't do that. And then I started to build my own personal relationship with him, not through a pastor, not through my husband or my mom or my friend. I got to know him for myself. I got to know his goodness for myself, his mercy and his grace for myself.
So did that encounter begin when you started like studying scripture for yourself?
Exactly, yes.
And just started understanding what the scripture says for yourself? For myself. So does it mean that maybe those times you didn't have that sort of word steady life? Yes. So you sort of depended on maybe what this pastor said or what that prophet says, on what that maybe that person is saying about God or saying about the Bible. Exactly. That's quite an interesting thing, because in the generation that we find ourselves, one of the things that I have personally observed is that we don't search the scriptures. We don't. I mean, we don't even of late when preachers are preaching, you know, people are just they're not even making notes. But it wasn't so back then. I mean, I'm from the old school. Yes. Back then in church, immediately the preacher starts preaching, everybody picks out a pen and paper, starts writing, reading along the Bible with them. Those times we didn't have projectors, so you need to bring your Bible to church and make references. And then when you go back, you study. And if anything is not clicking well, there is Bible study time, and you can ask those questions. But we'll be right back to talk about it. Let me take a couple of messages. This is ABN Radio.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart ripped out of a family. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife, save your life.
Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy newsy current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss. Mixpiration with Bright every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. is just fun. It's exciting. It's a mix of contemporary R&B and pop gospel music right here on ABN Radio. Enjoy great tunes every Sunday evening with Bright on Mixpiration, a blend of great inspiring songs just for your Sunday evening relaxation. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. this and every Sunday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
Work it. It was a well-paying job, respectable, wearing a suit and tie every day. But I drank 24/7. Drank on the way to work, drank at work.
I never could come to terms with admitting that I had an alcohol problem or a pill problem.
I decided to get clean, and so I went to the Narconon program.
Not only did I handle my drug addiction, I completely knew how to live life.
Call Narconon today at 01435 512 460. 01435 512 460.
One of the main reasons I carried the knife was I didn't want to feel weak. One time, a car pulled up and the guys jumped me. After that, I just wanted revenge. One evening outside the guy's house, I was just sat there thinking, do I do this? I have to be prepared to do life. I took another path, and that led me into mixed martial arts. It's really helped me overcome self-doubt. I'm now free since 2015. visit knifefree.co.uk.
This is ABN Radio, projecting rich African culture through the power of radio. You are listening to the Gospel Connect on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan station.
We are back here on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. This Gospel Connect with me, Daniel. This morning I'm here alone. Akosia is not here today. She's back joining me next week. But next week we have something spectacular, because for the very first time on your radio, we will be doing the Gospel Connect live lounge with 4 amazing worship leaders. It will be an acoustic session. You can't miss that. We have all the talented musicians right in the studio serving you with some awesome praise and worship. So it's going to be the church before church on Sunday. You don't have to miss that. But for now, I have with me Nicole Robinson, and we are talking about the church. Hello. So we are back now. Just before we took the quick break, I was talking about the fact that of late we don't really search the scriptures, which to me it looks like it's a generational thing. We live in sort of a fast food generation where now Christians want to be spoon-fed, and it looks like it opens us up for some of these things that you went through. Would I be right in saying that?
Yes. Yes.
But so let's talk a bit more into how far you've come now. So after encountering, having that personal encounter for yourself, how did you then begin to view the church?
After having an encounter with God and just having my own personal relationship, I stayed away from church. I still stayed away from church because I really wanted to fix me. I really wanted him to fix me so badly, because I just didn't want to go into church and just...
If you say fix you, like what were you expecting? What sort of things were you expecting God to do in your life that would actually demonstrate to you that, God, I think I'm okay now?
When I fix me in a sense with the brokenness, the hurt,
right,
being deceived, how do I start to trust these pastors again, knowing that it is you that are speaking? Is it really your word? Because I was very scared of prophecy. I was very scared of seed sowing, sowing seeds. I was very scared of that, because that's a lot of things that I had to do. And then when it didn't work out, they would say, check your life, you're doing something wrong. So I needed time to heal, and I needed time to just find me. I needed to get to know God for myself. So even when I do decide to go back into church, as you said, you'll be able to study the word, what the pastor said, and be able to go home and pray on what they said, and just to know God for yourself and believe in that this is the word of God. So I needed him to reassure me and to give me that confidence and that push to know that I'm here with you through everything. And so that's why I needed him to fix me.
Did that fix happen?
Yes, he did. Amen.
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 Awesome. So how can people get hold of this book, and what is it that you really want people who read this book to take away?
What I really want people to take away from this book is that I want you to understand that we will go through trials and tribulation in church and outside of church. But if you have a personal relationship with God for yourself, then you will stand on the solid rock. And I didn't have it. So this is why I was sinking. So I wrote this book to encourage others to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And that in life, we go through trials and tribulation, but we have to stand through it all because we have God. So we are a winner through Jesus Christ. Where you can get my book, you can get it on Amazon, in Waterstones, in M4 Town Library, the British Library. And if you type on Google, Nicole Robinson, let's talk about the church, you would see other places where you can get my book.
So do you go to church now?
Yes, I do.
Oh, interesting.
I do go to church now.
Still a Pentecostal church?
Yeah, it's still Pentecostal, but it's not. I don't go to church every Sunday. So I go to church on Fridays. I do attend church on Fridays, but on Sundays I'm taking my time to go to church. It's a process for me. It is.
Is there a difference between Friday church service and Sunday church
Friday
service?
for me is more like a prayer night.
Okay.
So like you get to pray more, and I feel like I need that. I need to get to pray more, and yeah.
That's very, 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 very interesting. So let me find out, since you launched the book, how has the response been?
It's been really positive, really positive, and it's been really positive, and I've been some other interviews that have been done will be posted this year. I have a very big surprise happening. I don't want to say it. Okay. I want to wait until it happens.
Surprise us in a new book, a new project?
I have a new project. Yeah, it's called Lamahi. Because I write plays.
Okay, so is that a play?
That's a play, yeah.
It's a play that's happening.
Yes.
Great. So you have the date out already, don't you?
Yeah, Is
that a surprise?
That's not the surprise though. The surprise is coming very soon.
Right, great.
Yes,
so
it's an international interview that I have done.
Right.
So I don't want to spoil it. I want to wait until it happens. So
okay.
This interview is one of the biggest interview I've ever done. So I really want to wait.
It's a television interview.
Yes, it is.
And it will be aired in a lot of different countries.
Yes,
it looks like I have an idea what it will be. Well, since you don't want to say it, how would you say it on the radio as well? But Lamahi, what does that mean?
It's Hebrew. It means why her.
Okay.
And it will be at the Milford Theatre on the 7th of July, and the director will be Natasha. Yes. So I can't wait.
So give me we have just about a minute or two to round it up. So tell me a little bit about this play.
This play is it's about finding who you are and knowing your value. Because nowadays youth, their inspiration or their role model is celebrities. But who are you? If there was no role model, if there was no celebrity, who would you be? So finding you.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So go check it out. That will be at Nicole Robinson, www.nicolerobinson.uk.
Yes.
Okay, so that's your website where people can check this out. And I am assuming that they can also find your book on the website as well and other places.
No,
that
they
you have
can't find my book on my website.
Okay, it's not available on the website.
It's not available on my website, but there's a link to show you where you can
buy the books from. Awesome. Nicole, it's been an amazing time. Thanks very much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for having me.
For joining me this morning for Gospel Connect. And we hope to have you sometime back, maybe just before the play goes live.
I would like to also recommend people to get my mum's book.
Oh, okay.
It Wasn't Easy by Nadine Stockhouse.
That's great. So
it's lovely as well.
Oh, wow, that's lovely.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't easy.
By Nadine Stockhouse.
Right. So
it's also available on Amazon.
On Amazon as well. All right. Okay, great. So check all these amazing stuff out and and be blessed. But Nicole, thank you very much for coming in to your mom as well and to your team.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, it's still ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. Here is Mr. Kwesi Oten with that song Mercy. We'll be right back.
The Lord is by your mercy, it's by your goodness, showing you grace every day, Lord. Thank you. I will sing of your mercies forever. I will say that you are my fortress and my strength. My God, in him will I trust. Blessed be your name forever. Yeah. Jesus, my days, I go bless your holy name. And with my voice, I will sing. I of your love and your grace. 'Cause I would not be here, but for your mercy, where would I be? Where would I be? Hey, hey, hey. Now you be my God, and you hold my hand. Lord, you got my back. Where would I be? Where would I be? Where would I be? I for don't low, I for don't exist. Even when I do wrong, you're still there for me. Where would I be? Where would I be? Where would I be? Oh, where would I be? If it had not been for you, Lord, standing by my side, Lord. Where would I be? If it had not been for you, who's got my back, where would I be, Lord? Yeah. Where would I be? If not because of your strength, Lord. Where would I be? If not because of your wisdom, yeah. Because of your love, where would I be? Where would I be? I would be lost by now, smoking weed. If because of your mercy that I'm standing here. Oh, Lord, I thank you for grace and mercy that's on me, yeah. David said, give thanks unto the Lord for his mercies that endure forever. Give thanks unto the Lord of Lords. The God who is a father to the fatherless. If it had not been for your mercies, Lord,
had it not been for the Lord on our side, where would we have been? Mr. Kwesi, he has a brand new song out. Not song, I mean songs. His new album is out. I'll be playing some of them for you just before we go today. This is ABN Radio London's Afropolitan radio station. The news is coming up shortly.
This is ABN Radio, Afrocentric, Cosmopolitan. We are London's Afropolitan station.
Stand up, get up, and be counted. This ain't a time to be lazy.
ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
More news, more information. This is ABN News on the Hour.
From the Sky News Centre at 9, China, one of North Korea's closest allies, has welcomed Kim Jong-un's decision to stop nuclear tests and intercontinental missile launches. The regime is planning talks with President Donald Trump at some point before June. Pyongyang's also announced it's closing its atomic test site. Our Southeast Asia correspondent Siobhan Robbins says the timing's important as it's only 6 days until a summit between North and South Korea.
He's deliberately decided to release this now, and that's because it removes the danger of going to that summit, making the announcement afterwards, and people suggesting that he was somehow strong-armed into it.
A man's being questioned over a burglary in which a suspect was stabbed to death at a pensioner's home in southeast London. Police had been looking for the 28-year-old since the attempted raid on the property in Hither Green earlier this month. Calvin Harris, Nile Rodgers and Dua Lipa are among the stars paying tribute to Avicii, who's died at the age of 28. The DJ and music producer was found dead in Oman. It's not been confirmed what caused his death. Ariana Grande's made a surprise appearance at the Coachella Festival to debut her first track since the Manchester Arena terror attack. She performed No Tears Left to Cry last night. To football, and Arsenal chief executive Ivan Gazidis won't rule out a left field appointment to succeed manager Arsene Wenger. The Frenchman stepping down from the role at the end of the season after 22 years in charge, and Gazidis is open-minded about Wenger's replacement.
When Arsene was appointed, I don't think he was on many people's radar screens. Now that doesn't mean we have to make another appointment that not everybody is thinking about and talking about, but it does mean we need to be bold in the appointment and get the person we believe is the right person.
And it's 1-1 after the opening day of Great Britain's Fed Cup tennis tie away to Japan. Joanna Konta beat Kurumi Nara after Heather Watson lost in straight sets to home number 1 Naomi Osaka. That's the latest. I'm Barry Weir.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart of the family ripped apart. Consider the potential never realised. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred or respect. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife and save a life. Quentin Slowly, supporting all family and young people.
Wondering where we are off to? Well, from the 1st of May 2018, ABN TV will be moving from Sky Channel 235 to Sky Channel 195. ABN TV is still available on Virgin TV Channel 842. ABN TV, your favorite black broadcaster. What do you like for breakfast?
Well, it depends what mood I'm in. If I'm happy, I like a little bit of porridge with banana because I'm feeling healthy. If I'm in a...
Me, I like a bit of fruit. Nice apples, sliced apples.
I love a cinnamon and raisin bagel, some scrambled eggs, and a...
I say nice English bit.
Salad, fruit and orange.
I like wholemeal bagel with a bit of cream cheese on it and some bacon and then some avocado, and on the side I like to have
fried egg with bacon, with baked beans, toast.
I normally take my cocoa. Yeah, I'm a Ghanaian. I'm a typical Ghanaian, so I like my cocoa.
I'm not too sure. I normally don't eat breakfast.
It doesn't matter how you like your breakfast, or you may not like breakfast at all, but you will love the sound of your radio when the breakfast is Afropolitan. Watch out for the new ABN Radio Breakfast Show with Efuadum and Abeye Bonsu. ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
ABN Radio. London's Afropolitan radio station. You are listening to the Gospel Connect on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan station. You are listening to the Gospel Connect on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan station.
Great are you, Lord, full of mercy and kindness. Great are you, Lord God. Great are you, Lord, who is faithful and mighty to save. Great are you, Lord, full of glory and splendor. Great are you, Lord God. Great are you, Lord, who will hear when we call on your name. Our God's worthy to be praised. Our God's worthy to be praised. Great are you, Lord, full of mercy and kindness. Great are you, Lord God. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord, who is faithful and mighty to save. Great are you, Lord. Great are
His name is Mr. Kwesi Oten. Absolutely love this dude, man. If you remember, it be God that bless me. That's what we used to call him. Where a couple of years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, broke through the ranks of contemporary gospel music in Africa and was all over the world with that song God They Bless Me. You heard me play an earlier track from him, Mercy, but for your mercy. And this is another absolutely phenomenal track. I love it. You should see me. You should go on YouTube and see look at my face, how I'm expressing how I love this song. But it's a great song. So make sure that you are singing this song at church tomorrow. Yes, please. And let me know. Take a video and send it to me. Let me know that you sang the song at church. But great one. I told you earlier on that we have a packed show today, and my next guests are ready on Gospel Connect this morning. And you know what? For the very first time, I think we are talking about marriage on Gospel Connect. Ooh, I'm excited about that. So my guests Yemi and Tola Adeshina are a young couple. I can see they are young, lovely, exciting, and they will be telling me some great stuff about marriage this morning. So let me say hello to them. Hello, Yemi and Tola.
Good
How you
morning.
doing? I'm great. Wow. Good morning to you, and thanks very much for joining me on the show this morning.
Thank you for having us.
I'm very much thankful to God for Him bringing you guys to us to talk about marriage. I think for the first time since the show has run for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
Maybe it's the first time that we'll be talking about marriage on the show. Man, I'm excited.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. Normally we have relationship, marriage, and sex program that airs on Friday nights. So that is where all the talk is done. So all the bedroom stuff is called bed talk. So normally all the marriage stuff are normally handled on that program. But it's exciting that we want to look at a very, very important subject when it comes to relationships and marriage, and that is before and after you say I do. I've heard before you say I do, so there's been a lot of talk about before you say I do, but you are passionate about before and after.
Yes.
Any reason why? Who's starting first?
Let my wife start.
Oh, ladies first. Okay, so let's go.
Yeah, I think for us, it was very important when we were getting married, prior to when we were getting married, that, we found clarity in our dating. So we had like mentors who were mentoring us in, preparation for marriage as well. And I think, people forget that obviously your wedding day is a one-day affair and marriage is a lifetime, so after you get married, you still also, it doesn't mean that you're having issues or anything, but you should still be counseled and mentored, maybe having, just like on your car, you have an MOT or you service it, you should also do an MOT and service your marriage once in a while, whether it's going on marriage retreats or seeing the mentors that you saw prior to getting married. So I guess with marriage, it's an institute that you don't graduate from. So if it's an institute you don't graduate from, you still need to learn. So I think we're very passionate about, making sure that you're equipped before you get married and making sure that you're equipped after you get married.
Now, you mentioned clarity during the dating. I want to explore that a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I think with clarity during the dating, so I think when people are dating and, people get caught up with the feelings, the emotions, I'm in love, I'm not looking at their weaknesses.
The butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah, so people get really caught up with that and they ignore clarity. And it's when they get married that all of a sudden everything is clear and I can see love is no longer blind. But in marriage, love is blind. You have to close your eyes to certain things. But where you're not married and you're dating, love is clearly, you can see. So you should be able to have a clarity in terms of, okay, this is a person I'm dating. There are these things about that person that I like and I don't like, there were things that we believe about in church, maybe even just getting clarity in terms of your purpose, what you're doing, how many children you want. I mean, these are the things that you should be talking about before you get married and not after you get married. So that's the type of clarity.
You know what? Those who are watching us live on YouTube be fascinated about how your husband is looking at you. Is there anything? Is she saying something that is really,
I guess
getting
for me,
you to observe intently?
I guess for me, I'm in awe of her because she has this. I guess in our relationship, she brought purpose, and I say to people, I married my wife on purpose.
Okay,
for purpose. Because when she talks about clarity, there's certain things that I wanted. If I had my way, I probably wouldn't have done as much counseling as was needed.
Okay.
It was while in a relationship with her, she showed me that, no, babe, we need to go for counseling. So we went for counseling at her church, and then we went for counseling with my pastor.
Right.
So
how long, or what was the length of counseling period that you had?
Oh, okay.
Altogether.
So, it wasn't when we started. So when we started dating, we met each other's mentors.
Yeah.
Mentors.
Yeah. So, and that's a key thing that I do advise people to have as well, is have somebody that you're accountable to. Because sometimes when you're inside something, your thoughts can delusion you. And if you have somebody, whether it's your mum, your dad, or a mentor or pastor, that can help you to see things outside. So we introduced ourselves to our mentors.
So how soon did this happen?
Pretty much soon.
Probably from the get-go.
I proposed to her 6 months after being in a relationship.
Okay.
I knew probably like 2 weeks into the relationship that I wanted to marry her.
Okay, so let's backtrack a bit and let's walk through the process, because I'm very particular about this, because it looks like of late everything that is Christ-like, purposeful, and structured, that would get us a particular, it looks like is being shoved away, and we are replacing it with a lot of microwave stuff. So let's walk through the process. So you guys met, where was it, in church, or you met and then
our story is kind of different.
It's different.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that kind of, I bumped into her and her books fell down. Movie script kind of thing.
The first encounter I had of her, she was actually going out with my now best friend. And so it was kind of like, this is like this is like 10 years,
right,
15 years ago. So I didn't think anything of it. Like, I had my girlfriend and I was still doing my thing on the side. So fast forward to 2014, and we had formed a relationship. So I've always seen her as a sister. Like, that's that girl that I just see her as a sister, man. Just leave her on the side. So we just talked and we built up a relationship, a friendship.
Okay. So it started with a friendship.
It started with a friendship. So we started to talk more. So she was going through a stage whereby trying to find her purpose. She wasn't really too happy with certain things in her life, so she wanted to change it. And I was just advising and just putting my I guess like that brotherly love relationship there. And I just said to her one time, let's go out.
Okay.
And she said, let's go out, because have we been out before that? I think we had gone out before that.
It was just
just that. So this time as well, just like, let's catch up, because we haven't caught up in a while.
Yeah, that was it.
It wasn't anything like that. So she even had a boyfriend at that time. We were catching up. So we were so cool that her boyfriend knew that, you're just catching up with Yemi.
Yeah.
So we went out, and while we were there, I remember that I'd been praying to God around that period, that God, I need to settle down, I need to get married. I feel stagnant. And while we were there, I just felt in my spirit that that's your wife. I was like, huh? This was my wife? No way. Like, what's not bad mouthing her, but I mean, she was in a relationship. She went out with my best friend. It's like, no, that's a no-go.
The tangent was completely different. And the variables were not something that would even come together at all.
So I left that for like a month. And the more I was praying,
were you sure that was the voice of God?
I think looking now, I could easily say yes, I was sure, but I wasn't. At that time, I don't think I was, because that's the first time ever. And it's not like I had feelings for her like that. I just knew that she was a nice person. She was very hospitable, love it, all the characteristics I realized I wanted for my wife, but I went looking for it. Like a month, 2 months down the line, then the feeling was getting stronger. Like,
but let me come back to the voice of God, the voice thing. Prior to you hearing that in your spirit, this is my wife, had you trained yourself to be able to hear on other things?
Definitely.
So it is something that was instructed to you.
It had to be, because if you call yourself a Christian, and I say to people, we didn't choose to be born. We didn't choose our parents. There's over 60% of what makes us who we are today that we didn't have a choice over. Now, if we're going to find purpose, we need to go to the person that created the let me use the word machine. So if we look at a computer, the purpose of a computer was imputed by the person that created it. So the purpose of us human beings is imputed in us by the person who created it. Now, because I didn't choose over 60% of what made me who I am, why would I want to choose? Why would I want to leave the choosing, 100% of the choosing of someone who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, who is almost like he will make or break your purpose? Why would I want all of that to be on me when I'm only seeing now and I don't know the future?
Right.
So it's that whole thing of, do you know what, God? I know this decision I'm about to make is a lifelong decision. I need to make the right decision. Hence why I guess prior to that I've been a Christian for a while. So I've just been developing myself in hearing the voice of God. Knowing the voice of God. And plus, another thing is, God would not tell you, I guess he probably can, but I think for me, he knew that this is right for you. And it was the desires. I've been praying to God, give me the desires of my heart. And the way I interpreted that scripture is, God, give me the desire you want me, give me my heart's desire that you want me to desire. So I might not necessarily desire her, but I want you make me desire it, kind of thing.
I get that. So it's about you leaving you leaving God to direct your emotion and your feeling in a particular way. Yes. It's like Jesus saying that, you know what, not my will, but your will be done.
It had to be that. And I think for me, if I chose, I would have. If I chose 100%, I think I would have made a wrong choice.
Okay.
Looking in hindsight now, I think my wife will always joke that I think I got the best end of the deal in this marriage.
Is that true?
Like literally, and that's where that's where the after comes in, where we talk about the after,
right?
But as in, like I'm loving marriage. Like I've never had a bad moment with her since I've been married, but she's had many bad moments with me. I guess it's just natural. So I guess God really wanted to bless me.
Okay.
Not that He didn't want to bless you, but I think that part will come.
Yeah. Right, so we are talking about before and after you say I do, which people, if you have just joined, this is Gospel Connect on ABN Radio. I'm sure it's very a little bit different from the conversations you've heard us had on the show this morning, but it's very important, I believe, it's for a purpose, because it was yesterday that I saw a very popular gospel musician that has massive following, and is out there, so I can mention his name. Dietrich Hayden put out a post on Instagram that there should be a there should be a premarital like basically saying that before you marry someone, live with the person if possible. Like the person should get pregnant for you, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is a very popular gospel musician.
Wow.
So when I saw, I was like, oh my goodness, we are quickly and very, very in a very fast pace veering away. So this conversation for me is extremely timely, where a lot of young people would have to learn and realize that God still has standards. So if you call yourself, unless you don't call yourself a Christian, that's a different conversation altogether. But if you call yourself a Christian, then there are standards to how God wants you to live your life. So I'm excited about this. So we've spoken about the voice of God, which is from the conversation we're having, is very imperative for you to be able to recognize the voice of God for yourself. And then we are there should be a process. It's a friendship process, and then you move on to the actual relationship process, where like you now know that, okay, all right, there's something brewing, right? So how long? So after you guys got to know that we think we have something going on here. How long did it take you to get introduced, get the mentors, then start doing counseling? Did you wait for your church's stipulated counseling period, or you went and introduced yourself and like, you know what, we are going on this journey, we need counseling?
I think for my wife, I'll speak for my wife only because she had a different type of vibe on this one,
right?
Because she had just come out of a relationship. And as soon as she came out, I remember as soon as she told me, I mean, I was a friend at the time, and she told me, oh, I just broke up with my boyfriend. And I did not waste time. That same night, I drove to her house.
Were you happy?
I think if I'm to be real, yes, I was, because I guess I didn't want to cloud the judgment. I could see it coming, by the way. I could see, so it wasn't like it was gonna happen there. But
did your friend have a win?
No, something. He wasn't really my friend like that. But
so
I knew of him.
Yeah,
I knew of him. I knew of him. My best friend's relation that ended like 10 years ago.
Right.
So that was the different ball again. But funny enough, I had to even go and speak to him.
Okay.
Before I approached her, like it was because brothers, we have code. Like, you know, where I've been, don't go there. That kind of thing. That vibe. So it was like, but he had nothing but the best words to say about her, and I was like, okay, and he was like, yeah, I just don't know why it don't work, but she's a lovely person. I was like, oh, cool. So that kind of gave me a boost to go for it. So when she told me she had broken up with her boyfriend, I drove right down to her house, and she probably thought I was coming to counsel her or something, or just to like be there for her. I was like, yo, this is not the time. Like, for me, I think I ended up saying that night, I think I like you. I think I like you, and I like the way I played it, because I don't think I knew I liked you, but I just had to just put it out there that, hey, I think I like you.
So you treaded cautiously, even though there was that sort of a bit of a surety, but you still treaded cautiously.
Yeah, I had to.
Well, how did you take that evening when he said that to you?
Well, I guess in that evening, like Kimmy had said, I just come out of a 3.5-year relationship, and I was very adamant that, you know what, God, the next relationship I get into, it has to be towards marriage. So it has to be a relationship of purpose and clarity and all of that good stuff. So I mean, when he told me, I was just like, you know, first of all, I'm just coming out of a relationship, and secondly, I'm not even attracted to you. I don't even like you like that. Like, it's not even that, you know. So I was just like,
and that really hurt. I must say that, because I'm like, look at this. Look at, how can you not be attracted to this? Like, really?
Yeah.
You're blind, like,
yeah, I was blind then.
But it's good.
Now
it's
I
good.
can see.
It's good. Hence why she went to a mentor straight away.
So,
okay,
she went straight to the mentor to talk to the mentor that, hey, there's a new guy. This is a situation. I don't think I'm attracted to him, and I think it's very important we address that, because if you're not attracted to your spouse, that's going to be a major issue. That's going to
absolutely
be
a major issue.
Obviously, she's attracted to me now, innit? I know.
But it looks like before you say I do, the mentorship is key.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
So how, let me find out, what were the noticeable help that you receive, something that is not abstract, that you can really pinpoint, that submitting yourself to mentorship actually got you to do this, that, and it contributed to, you know, the success of the journey?
Okay, so like Kimmy said, so we had mentorship and counseling at my church and with my mentors. We did so at Yemi's church as well and with his mentors, and then we also bought ourselves resources, like such as books as well. So we invested in, you know, spending time with these mentors and counselors, and I think we got to, in terms of being with the counselors as well, we got to see a bit into their life. So they gave us real life experiences. I mean, they spoke about their journey. I mean, these are couples that have been married for like 20 or plus years, kind of thing.
Does it play a role as to how long the couple should have been married for you to be able to submit yourself as a mentee?
I
think it's both.
I believe so,
because I think you should definitely have. One of the advice we got was to spend time with someone who's been married for 2 years.
Yeah.
Spend time with someone who's been married for 10 years, and spend time with someone who's been married for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we did the variety of couples.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, like I said, the resources, like, so the books that we read. So again, I think for us, it was seeing the real life experiences.
Give me the names of about three books, three books.
Yeah. Okay, so first book that we read before we even started dating was Gary Chapman, Things I'd Wish I'd Known Before I Got Married. Okay. That book is just so amazing because it talks about things from like sex to children to church, beliefs. Like, it really just breaks down a lot of things.
And it gives you the opportunity to actually talk about it. So I gave it to her prior to us dating, and then when we start to date, we then start to talk about it. So we would read a chapter, and then during our date night, at the end, towards the end of the date night, it would say, "Oh, let's just go through some of these questions," and that kind of brought insight into what she believes and what I believe. Because I realized that during those times, if you don't talk about it, if you don't bring it up as a topic, it wouldn't come up in a conversation because you're currently putting your best foot forward. So I'm always trying to look nice. I'm always trying to look dapper. I'm always trying to speak politely just to impress. So I'm still trying to impress.
Right.
But then once that impression goes and then you fall flat on your face and you realize, oh, this is my belief. Oh, I believe that a woman should always cook. Not that that's what I believe, but I'm just saying that that's what I want your role to be. And she's like, no, it has to be. But if you don't have that conversation prior, it will cause a problem in marriage.
Yeah. Wow. So spending time with somebody who has been 2 years, somebody who's been like 10 years, somebody who's been like 30 years. And so you have that wide variety of experience to draw from. Wow, that is interesting. So before, I think there are pointers that you've given which are very, very helpful. And these are things I'm really fascinated hearing you speak about them, because it looks like if you observe around, a lot of our young people don't take time to do all these things. So we will take I'll go for a quick breather. When we come back, I want us to quickly state about 5 things. When you think about 5 things that you really sure we should do before, and then we get to talk about it after as well. But one thing that I would also love to ask is how, as a Christian couple yet to be married, when you were going through that courtship process, you were able to navigate the murky and the muddy waters of romance and sex. I really want to find out about that. So this is Gospel Connect on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. We will be right back.
This is ABN Radio.
It's really my type of music.
We play your genre of music, from contemporary gospel, high life, hip life, Afropop, and Afrobeats.
Play loads of music
on London's premier Afropolitan station. We are online, DAB, and
the ABN Radio app.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart ripped out of a family. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife. Save your life.
The Discourse on ABN Radio. Engaging our community with discerning conversation.
Join me, Esther Alade, on The Discourse, where we will be redefining perspectives with authentic analysis.
Join The Discourse from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on ABN Radio.
This Friday and every Friday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
My friend gave me a knife because I wanted pride. There was an incident. I got stabbed. I realised I don't need to pick up that knife. I decided to just focus on football. It was tough. Now I'm on the path to achieve my dream. I've been knife free for a year. Visit knifefree.co.uk.
Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy news current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
We play your genre of music, from contemporary gospel, high life, hip life, Afropop, Afrobeats, on London's premier Afropolitan station.
And the ABN Breakfast Show returns Monday morning with Ifwa Adum and Abeye Bonsu. Make sure you don't miss that from 7 o'clock to 11 right here on London's Afropolitan radio station. Live online on DAB, on your mobile devices via the ABN Radio app and the TuneIn app as well. And very, very soon we're coming on Radio Player, so you can access us via Radio Player and via your Amazon Echo and Google Pods. So watch out for that. Yes, it's still Gospel Connect. My guest in the studio, Yemi and Tola, and we are talking about everything marriage. So before and after you say I do, I've learned some very, very, very interesting stuff. And before we went for the break, I was asking Yemi and Tola that I need you to tell me about five things that you really think that if somebody would get married as a Christian, they should think about, they should consider, they should do. 5 things. Which ones would they be?
I'll start off with like 3. So I would say probably guarding your heart. And I know that this is, it's a bit abstract, or obviously the fact that you're getting to know somebody, you still have to open up. But remember, when you're dating, each person that you're dating, you're giving parts of your heart and your life to them, and you might not necessarily end up marrying them. So you need to guard your heart to
it's scriptural, isn't it?
Yes.
The Bible says guard your heart, for out of it proceeds the issues of life.
Yes. So definitely I would say guarding your heart. The next one I would say is being accountable. So making sure that you're accountable to somebody, and making sure that other person is. Again, like we spoke about, whether it's a mentor, your mum, your dad, your parents, your friends, whatever it is, just be accountable, because sometimes when you're in something, you can be very blind, and it's good to allow people outside that you can be accountable to kind of see for you in that aspect. Third one for me would be to know your boundaries, set boundaries. And we're talking things like obviously sex before marriage, and so both parties know that, okay, we're agreeing that we're not having sex before marriage, we're agreeing that this is too far, whether we're going to kiss or we're not going to kiss, and just setting boundaries so that both parties are aware, and it's not like we get into the relationship and it's kind of like, oh, your hands are going a bit too far, oh, but we didn't talk about that, kind of thing. So setting boundaries. So those three would be for me.
I think for me, to add two more to that, it would be pray more and date more. So praying more, let me start with dating. Miles Monroe says something that during the dating period is for you to gather data.
Okay.
About something. That's really it. Gather as much information, as much data about the person, especially when you date outdoors. See how they react, see how they talk to a waiter, see what they order, those kind of things. Obviously, it helps you in the good times, whereby you remember certain attributes about your wife. So before I got married, I knew that I wanted to really spoil my wife. And I told her to write a bucket list of all the things she wanted to achieve before she was 30.
Right.
And when she did that, I just started to tick. I've not finished them, so I'm still ticking some of them off. And that gave me a platform to also find out about her, what she likes and what she wants, and also how to impress her. And then praying together. It's funny how a lot of couples don't actually pray together. And I was like, what? Y'all don't pray together? Like, obviously that's a bad accent, but it's like, you have to. You literally have to. Because my thing is, you wouldn't know whether someone's spiritual unless they express that spiritual side of them.
Okay.
Not knocking, even if they're not spiritual and they're trying, at least you know they're trying. Because we were spirit beings before we became physical beings.
Right.
Our spirit man will live forever. So if our spirit man is living forever and this flesh that we're into is what's going to die, then there's something about the spiritual world, which the Bible makes us realize is more real than our physical world. Then why are we not tapping into that? And the things that the Holy Spirit will reveal to you subconsciously through a third party, that because you're spending time in prayer, it will be a lot more easier for those things to just come through. So you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'll say.
To that, sometimes I've heard this. We feel that maybe the brother or the sister is coming across as too spiritual, or trying to impose or show off her spirituality in the marriage. You know what? We are dating. This is romance. It's got nothing to do. It's not. You're not now coming to tell me how spiritual you are. And you hear that a lot, where Christian sisters in the church will say that, this guy is too spiritual. He will be asking you, what did you learn? What was a quiet time and that kind of thing? Or the brother is too, So it's sort of, some people, although they know that's the right thing to do, but it's you're quite cautious that you don't want to do anything for the sister to just say, you know what, I don't even call my phone again. Anytime you call, you're talking about Bible and prayer and that kind of. So how do you?
I think there has to be a balance.
Manage that.
There definitely has to be a balance. You can't keep Bible bashing people. I mean, like, literally, not that we planned anything like that, but on our dates, probably spend the last at least 10%, 20% on so-called God stuff, even though everything is God stuff.
I like how you have you've quantified it percentage.
Well, it's not necessarily.
No, but I think even with keeping the balance, like in terms of spiritual, I mean, little things as praying before we eat our food. Like, oh, babe, I've got an interview today. Oh, let's pray. We're going. Like, I mean, just keeping those things. And I know that, yes, trying to find a balance between being over spiritual and obviously keeping some sort of spirituality in your relationship.
Right. Great. So, anyway, this interview is live on YouTube and the content will stay on there. So go back there and really have a listen to it. And I'm sure that God would really use this to bless you. Now, let me come to the very, let me say, dump part that most of the time we are very scared to talk about. How did you, if you don't mind, navigate this very, very muddy waters of the passion, the romance, the sexual attraction, the chemistry? How did you manage that?
I think again we spoke about this from the jump, so from the get-go. So I remember we started dating then. I think when I said, "Oh, we're not gonna kiss," had we started? Yeah. So I was like, "We're not gonna kiss. We're not gonna because I thought."
How did he take it? What was his facial reaction?
I was shocked. I was like, "Wait, how do you not want to kiss? Have you seen my lips? Have you seen those lush and big lips? You don't want to touch those lips? Well, you're bad." But yeah, she stuck to her guns.
Yeah. So, and I think it was, for me, I knew if I started kissing, I knew what kissing does for me. So I knew that, if we did kiss, it would eventually lead to somewhere where it was
a slippery slope.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, I was in a relationship for 3.5 years, and in that relationship was where I lost my virginity. So again, obviously I battled with my relationship with God and things like that. So I knew that, do you know what, God, I want to do this right. And obviously with this guy, the next person I get with, I want to make sure it's the person I'm going to marry. I want to do it your way. I don't want to do it on my terms, so I want to make sure that we're glorifying you, with our bodies as well. So we had, it was obviously very difficult because we both came from relationships prior where we were having sex prior. So yeah, it was very difficult, and I don't know, I guess just being mindful that, do you know what, I think for me, I was always trying to remind myself that what testimony am I going to use or am I going to say afterwards, and how am I going to encourage those who are coming behind us. So I guess, yeah, creating boundaries. The first part of our relationship, I don't even think I allowed you in my house. Like he used to come to my house and we used to sit in the car. Like, is that right? Yeah, we used to sit in the car,
and she said she wasn't attracted to me.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when I remember when I started coming to his house, I wouldn't sit in your bedroom, so I'd always sit in the living room.
So it comes back to the last point that you raised about boundaries.
Setting your boundaries
and sticking to the boundaries, because sometimes people do set boundaries from the beginning. They will talk already about, oh yeah, come on, give it just 3 months.
I think definitely and that's exactly what happened with us, whereby towards the end of when we were approaching marriage, it was starting to get tense. But now we really dropped our boundaries to the aspect that she's now staying in my room. I'm going to her house. I'm staying on her bed, sleeping on her bed. And you find that because you had lowered the boundaries, the temptations now increased. So it was towards the end that I would squeeze in that last
getting married.
Towards the end before
we were engaged.
Toward the marriage day. Yeah. It was like towards the end I realized, I'm hugging her a bit more.
Hands are wandering a bit more.
And I'm like, yo, okay, like this is different. So I guess you have to stick to your boundaries.
Right.
You have to stick to your boundaries.
Right. Stick to your boundaries. Now, we have a couple of minutes to go. I want to open the phone line and the text line. If you really want to, you should. Call, ask questions. If maybe you know someone, maybe not you, but you know someone who is having a bit of challenge in his or her relationship, and you want to get some answers. Let's learn. I believe that God has brought us this amazing couple to shed light and help us understand some of the things that have been baffling our minds. So the number to call is 020-8670 7300. That is 020-8670-7300, or you can text or send us a WhatsApp or 0788 7475940. That is 0788-7475-940, and I can pick calls on that line as well as calls from WhatsApp. Also, if you're listening, you're outside the country. And I also want to hear from the elderly people who have experience, who are listening and want to add on to the conversation that we're having this morning. Let's hear from you. So now let's talk about after. So now the temptation increased by God's grace. You need to stand your ground, and now everything is done. Wedding. In your submission, you said something about the importance of the marriage than just the wedding day. So does it begin from there?
Does what begin from there?
Does the after, the sustenance and whatever will happen after the marriage, does it begin from realizing that the marriage journey is actually more important than the wedding day?
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I think, it's so easy to get caught up in planning your wedding and being engaged and all that, just trying to make your day such a great day that you forget that, this day is a one-day affair and my marriage is a lifetime affair. So I think quickly realizing that and, trying and responding to that thought. So, in preparation for your marriage. So like I said, I spoke about earlier having like an MOT. You get MOT done on your car, what is it, once a year, or you service your car and things like that. You need to do likewise for your marriage. So planning out time. I mean, we in our first and second year we went on we go on like a couples retreat.
Okay.
We still have, we try to incorporate our date nights, and I guess this is some of the things after marriage, like trying to do things together, trying to still maintain communication, and I guess a lot of the things that we spoke about before. So we spoke about how do we see our marriage, and obviously you have expectations, or we said okay, we don't want to ever argue or get into a place where we're swearing at each other or saying bad things about each other, because we know that that's going to have a lasting impact on us. I mean, we've had disagreements, but we know that in that disagreement, I'm not going to call him names and he's not going to call me names, because we decided that from the get-go.
And say things like, oh, I regret it, those kind of things, and then you're like, oh, what did I say?
Exactly.
Wow. What would you add to that, Jimmy?
I mean, I think it's definitely important in terms of planning for it. And one of the things I decided right from the get-go was I don't want this might sound shocking, but I say to people, I love my wife for no reason. Okay. I love my wife for no reason. What do I mean by that? There isn't a reason why I love my wife, quote unquote. So I don't love her because she can cook, even though she's an amazing cook. I don't love her because she's beautiful, even though she's the most beautiful woman to me. I don't love her because she's polite. I don't love her because of all of these things that I can see and count, even though they all matter. Because what tends to happen is when she stops doing those things, does that mean that my love for her stops? And I can't afford for that, because I know myself. I know that if I stem my love for you based on something, that means as soon as you stop doing that something, I will stop loving you. So I chose that I'm gonna love you for no reason. Right. So regardless of how you're making me feel, at any moment in time, I would always choose to love you. And love is a choice. You choose to love the person in the good and in the bad. You literally, you have to choose. If right now you switch this radio interview and you start to swear at us, I have a choice to either sit here and take it or walk out the studio. But because I have a love commitment and I sit here, I continue to sit here, eventually you're going to change, because you realize your effect is not affecting me.
What are you
even
doing?
though it affected me, but I'm choosing not to react to it. Okay. And I think as men, we need to understand that, and as much as we are the head of the home, a woman controls the atmosphere of the home.
Say that again.
She controls the atmosphere of the like I say to my wife,
you're 1000% right on this one.
I say to my wife, you need to stop mooing like a cow. When she's upset, she goes around now, and I feel guilty for watching TV when she's upset. But I'm like, do you know what? And most of the time she's upset because of me. Okay. So it's like, okay, you're the cause of the problem. You then need to go and resolve it and deal with it. And I find that in the after period, because I'd made that choice that I would always love you regardless of what happens, I would then have to go back and say I'm sorry and all of that stuff, beg her back to try to change, because I need the atmosphere of my house to be in peace. Like I cherish that more than anything. You can't be creative. And as a creative myself, because my work is being creative, as a creative, if my atmosphere is not conducive, you're stopping me from working. And so I like, there isn't a day if I would like the atmosphere restored, it has to be.
Awesome. My guest in the studio, and with extraordinary conversation this morning, Yemi and Tola Adeshina, which we've been talking about before and after you say I do. We have just a couple of minutes to end the show this morning. This Gospel Connect on ABN Radio London's Afropolitan radio station. We're still waiting for your call. Don't be shy. Give us a call. Don't worry if you don't want to use your name. Maybe the question you want to ask is sensitive. We understand that. We can, or you can send me a message on 078874 75940. Now, when I come back, I would want you to help me with this. If you were to go through maybe marriage counseling again in the church, what topics would you, or what areas would you say that church should really focus on covering?
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So we'll come back and we'll talk about that. This is ABN Radio, and this is Gospel Connects.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart ripped out of a family. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife, save your life.
No one plays it better on the radio than us. ABN Radio, home of Afro beats.
Oh man, the knot is soapling. Remember this huge tune? Do your silly bike trick. Is it cricket? We're loving it. We're troubling sidekicks. Oh, have a cuppa tea.
We can't totally recall the noughties, like if you had PPI and a loan, credit card or mortgage, for example. Luckily, we don't have to. Many PPI providers now have online checking tools. Search FCA PPI for more info.
Do it now!
Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy news current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
ABN Radio.
London!
London's Afropolitan radio station.
Yeah, man. God is working. He's up to something. I may not see it, but still I'm trusting. God is working. He is working. He is working. Tell you, God is working. Let me say, God is working. Tell you, everybody. He's up to something. I may not see it, still I'm trusting. 'Cause God is working. God is working.
His name is Akase Brempon. I'll try and play this song just before I leave. But for now, I still have my guest in the studio, and very, very excited about this one. A very, very interesting and different conversation on Gospel Connect this morning. I hope that your Saturday morning has been blessed, whatever that you're doing. Just make sure that you go back and listen to this program all over again. It's available on YouTube, and it will be up on our podcast on abnradiouk.com. That will be in about 48 hours from now. You can still have the audio version that you can listen to back. But let me come back to my guests. Wow, what an amazing conversation we've had this morning. I asked before we went for the break that if you have to go through counseling again, what areas would you want the church to focus on?
I think we just quickly wrote down 5 things, and I think for us the 5 areas would be, so the first one being purpose, and I think that entails so your business, your career, what is it that you're doing in life. And I think it's so important that when you're going through your counseling that you talk about that, so you're both on the same page. I mean, like it says, 2 cannot walk together unless they agree. So you need to agree, you need to know what page you're on and what you're doing. I think also the church should talk about sex, and I mean sex before, obviously not having sex, but also after marriage, because as Christians, if we're not supposed to be having sex and we're not having sex before marriage, and then we get married, and then it's kind of like, oh, okay, I don't know, my husband's not enjoying sex, my wife's not enjoying sex, I don't know how to please him, or he doesn't know how to please me. how can we learn sex education basically as Christians without watching porn or doing things that we're not supposed to do? I really think the church needs to talk about that.
And they've really stacked on that. They've really stacked on that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's
important.
Cultural.
It might be cultural, but my thing is that's one of the areas that marriage is suffering. I mean, I'll share a little testimony about us. Because we have both experienced sex before, coming to marriage is only like 6 months in. Apparently, my wife wasn't enjoying sex. I'm like, yo, how can you not enjoy sex with me? Do you know who I am? Like, I am the D. Anyway, when she told me
Prime Time Radio,
when she told me that, it really affected my ego.
Right.
But then I realized why she wasn't, because I was in, bang, 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 out, in, bang, bang, bang. So it was like I wasn't caressing, there wasn't foreplay talk, and these are the things that she wanted. But I guess now she's not saying that anymore.
Yeah, and I guess just making sure that you speak about that. So the other three would be like finance. So in terms of before marriage, like, do you have any debt? So finding out whether each of you have debt, finding out what you think about money, like what is money to you, the concept of money, how you think are you a good saver, are you a spender? Like, I mean, I think big things of people getting divorces like sex or finances kind of thing, money being an issue. And the other two things would be so maintenance. And what I mean by that is like, so romance, how are we going to keep the romance alive? How are we going to keep dating each other? Conflict resolution, when we have an argument, how are we going to do that? Am I going to say, okay, never go to bed with an argument? We need to, okay, this is how we're going to communicate things. Are we going to write it down? And then the last thing would be family. So even just talking about how many children do you want? Do we even want children? How are we going to bring up our children? How are we going to deal with in-laws? When we have in-laws, are they going to stay at ours, or when they come from back home? How are we going to deal with people, extended family, because now you have your immediate family and everybody else is extended family. So I think those are the key areas for me that I say the church would probably need to focus on when they're counseling, and people should focus on also afterwards as well.
I think it's interesting. My wife just mentioned that point, and someone on my timeline just asked me, how do you manage life balance, especially in a busy work schedule like myself? And I think, to be honest, I'm still trying to find that balance. I'm really still, and I think that's one of the, in terms of what we're struggling with in our marriage, is that having to, and because I didn't plan it from the beginning, I didn't put like a timeline in there to say, okay, babe, we're gonna hustle for this amount of period, and then we're gonna do that. So she works, and I'm into business, and as a businessman, you're always on a go. You're always trying to get the next deal. You're always trying to get the next hustle. But then my relationship is suffering. So I was even saying to someone yesterday, one of my team, that I think I'm in the doghouse because my wife is not happy. This weekend, for example, an opportunity came up and I had to dash out. We were supposed to have date night and I had to reschedule or cancel that. And as much as I'm doing it for business, but we have to bring that balance in there, that your wife comes first more than money or business.
Okay, I have a question here quickly just before we go. It's saying that what was the difference between past relationships when you entered it and this one that ended in marriage? You were both Christians in past relationship. What was the difference? Would you say you didn't hear from God then?
In my last relationship, no, I didn't. I didn't hear from God, and I knew that I wasn't going to marry this person. But I guess for me, I was in my fleshly self, and I was in a place where I guess my self-esteem was low, and I just my relationship with God just wasn't intact, basically. And I guess I was not operating in purpose. I was operating in flesh. And I think everybody, even as a Christian, we know the things that we should be doing, and we know the things that we shouldn't be doing. A lot of us are in relationships where we have not heard the peace of God, have not heard from God, and we know that we're not going to marry this person, but because it's convenient, because we feel that we're being loved. I think for me, in my last relationship before Yemi that I was in, is I gave sex to get love, because at that period I just wanted to be loved. So there is something that we're all looking for, and we could just be looking for it in the wrong place.
You know what? I need to have you back. I definitely need to have you back, possibly on Bear Talk, and let's continue this conversation a little bit more deeper. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But in about 30 seconds, where can people find you? If somebody would want to connect with you, find out maybe a young person listening want to get some mentorship or get some information, how can they get hold of you?
Give me my email.
I can just give us our email. So ty@theadditionals.com. So that's ty@theadditionals.com.
Right. And then social media, Yemi_Ade1, TY Additioner 1? No, TY Additioner, yeah, that's my wife.
So, you know what, Yemi and Tola, I am absolutely blessed this morning having you join me for Gospel Connect and for sharing yourselves and sharing this passion that God has given to you. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. And I mean, definitely we talk off air, but I definitely have to get you on Bear Talk, because that's where we can really split open a lot of things. We are on prime time radio now, so we can really talk a lot more about it. But thanks very much for listening. The Hear Me Out show is up next here on ABN Radio, and later on in the day, Rodney Hines is here with the Voice of Sports show. My name is Daniel Dadson, and shout out to my co-presenter Akosia Jumofuku, who is somewhere sunny. I'm trying to sort some few things out. Akosia, God bring you back safely to join me in the studio next week. But whatever you do, make sure that God's standard has not changed. Keep it right there. My name is Daniel. I'm out.